I am forced to perform. I still believe there's a real me somewhere far underneath this act I'm putting on. So if I show who I am, what if they hate what I can never change? And so one more time, I step back onto the stage. I wish I could stop it, but the show must go on. It's time to begin the act.
Hey, my name's Matthew Culver. I've been a Christian my whole life. Near the end of my senior year of high school, I started to feel kind of sick in my stomach. Ended up going to the hospital at the University of Maryland Medical Center, and they found out that I had a tumor. They went in there, they took it out, and they did a biopsy, and they found that it was cancer. I immediately started chemotherapy, and all of a sudden my entire life was just completely rocked. I had to go through cancer, and I never escaped any side effects or any pain or anything like that. And as a result, I started to have intense stomach pains. I had to go back to the hospital, and basically was told, you're going to die very soon because your intestines are poisoned. So I definitely was not in a place where surgery was necessarily also the safest option, but I didn't have a choice. They said this was an emergency and we had to do it that day. It was just a milestone for me because this kid who'd been acting his whole life literally faced death. So after surviving cancer, I was accepted to Liberty University. And so I remember praying that God would just do whatever it took to bring me closer to Him and to just develop that relationship further. And I didn't realize when praying that God was going to let happen everything that would happen after that. I'd been dating someone that I really liked, and everything was kind of set off by the breakup. My whole life just kind of imploded. I found myself for the first time kind of struggling with depression and suicide. This was a different struggle for me because I was obviously upset during cancer, but this was different. This was something in me, not being caused by something necessarily physical. I didn't know how to deal with that. So I went to God and I cried out to Him, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. There was no change, there was no feeling, there was no resolution to the breakup. I had it because He didn't seem to be anywhere. He didn't seem to care about this, and I couldn't understand it. So I walked away from caring about God for a little while. I did my own thing. I decided to go teach English abroad. And by the time I graduated from Liberty, I had a job set up in China. Now I'd come to a place where I was in China. I was on the other side of the world. There were no Christians. Looking back on it, it was definitely me running away from that very painful year at Liberty, from the girl, from God. About that time is when I started to feel kind of sick, and it got worse and worse. I went to 4 different doctors, took tons of different antibiotics, and nobody knew why it wasn't getting any better. And so I finally decided that I had to come home. So I came back to the United States. My family got me back here, and I quit my job, and I went into surgery so they could do a biopsy just to figure out what it was. They called and said that they had found traces. The non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was back. Now I relapsed. This time I didn't question why. I just knew that I had to deal with it. And this time I knew that there was only going to be one way I get through this, and that's God. What it comes down to for me and every other Christian is that He's there. And He loves us with a love that is unimaginable. My faith right now looks like me just believing that God's got a reason for this. God's got great things for me. That there's a reason why I would have gone through all of this. And that's hopefully so that He'll do something great through me. The hope that I can impact others' lives, that I can make something great out of my name for His name. It's not about me. And I think my perspective on hope has changed. It's not just getting through this, it's getting through this to be a better version of me in relationship with Him.